Emily sat in the courtroom in stunned silence as the judge's gavel struck. All eyes turned toward her, her pale face a testament to sleepless nights and relentless anxiety. The defendant, Emily Thompson, is hereby sentenced to 25 years in prison for first-degree murder. The announcement thudded against Emily like a thunderclap, dragging her back into a nightmare she could hardly believe. Just moments earlier, the last thing she had seen was her sister Jessica's face, wide-eyed in shock, as red blood pooled on the white dress Jessica had been wearing in that summer garden. Who would have imagined that only a month ago, the Thompson family had gathered cheerfully around their poolside in the Seattle suburbs. Now, two sisters, once inseparable, had become mortal enemies. She laughed as he signed the divorce papers, not knowing he'd already sealed her fate. Emily whispered inside her head, reliving that final act of betrayal. She thought she'd won, but karma had other plans. On the screen behind her, the words, "This is Karma Strikes, where betrayal meets justice," blinked in bold letters. The camera zoomed in on Emily's exhausted face, sunken eyes and tightly pressed lips, empty and hollow. American viewers watching would wonder, how did things reach this point between these two sisters? Why did a close-knit sibling relationship end in such a tragic death? It only got more unnerving. When Jessica collapsed, she still wore a half-smile, as if imparting one last horrifying message before her life slipped away. Karma doesn't rush, but it never misses. A narrator's gravelly voice intoned, sending a chill down anyone's spine. The audience couldn't help but ask themselves, what would you do if the person you trusted the most in the world betrayed you utterly? No one would ever have guessed that gentle, hard-working Emily could become so cold-blooded. But the searing pain of betrayal had forged her into someone capable of unspeakable revenge. Now, to understand why she believed taking her sister's life was the only way to set justice right, and to leave a lesson in its wake, let's revisit the days that led up to this horrifying crime. Emily Thompson, age 32, was a talented communications specialist at a major tech company in Seattle. She was raised in a modest family. Her parents divorced when she was 12, and since then, her relationship with her older sister, Jessica, 3 years her senior, had grown strained. Jessica craved the glamorous, high-flying life, while Emily was earnest, focused, and content with simple pleasures. Despite these differences, Emily still loved her sister fiercely, hoping they could heal old wounds and remain close. Emily's life took a new course when she met Daniel Parker, a handsome software engineer with a warm heart and a brilliant mind. Their romance blossomed quickly, and they married after 2 years of dating. Their cozy home in Kirkland became their sanctuary, a space where love and laughter reigned. Daniel, 35, was not only brilliant but deeply supportive, whether it was debugging software or listening to Emily's dreams about starting her own consulting firm. They were perfect partners, husband and wife, best friends, sharing hopes for the future. Meanwhile, Jessica had moved to New York after college, snagging a lucrative marketing job and embracing a lavish lifestyle. She posted snapshots of designer handbags, upscale dinners, and chic parties on social media. From Emily's perspective, Jessica seemed to have it all, yet behind those glamorous Instagram selfies, something darker stirred. Subconsciously, Jessica felt pangs of envy whenever Emily talked about her happy marriage. "He truly loves me," Emily would gush on their video calls home. Hearing those words planted seeds of obsession in Jessica's mind. She was determined to have Daniel for herself no matter the cost. Emily, preoccupied with juggling her job and the demands of newlywed life, barely noticed at first. But small warning signs began to appear. Late-night calls between Daniel and someone saved under Jessica's name raised eyebrows. Few things in modern life go unrecorded. Phones would light up on the kitchen counter when Emily was at work, and Daniel would snatch them away before she could see the screen. Perplexed, she trusted Daniel's plausible excuse. "Work's been hectic lately. I'm speaking with the marketing team." But in reality, Daniel and Jessica were secretly communicating, plotting together. Emily felt pangs of unease, but dismissed them. To her, Daniel was the man she loved and trusted completely. She assumed any odd behavior had an innocent explanation. She had no inkling that her sister and husband were, at that very moment, dismantling the life she had built. One rainy Seattle afternoon, a low-grade drizzle painting the city, Emily came home to find Jessica lingering in Daniel's home office for far longer than necessary. A quick glance showed Jessica standing too close to Daniel's desk, speaking softly into his ear. Emily's stomach twisted. Confronting them might lead to an argument she wasn't ready for. Instead, she wrote the scene off as her imagination running wild. Yet the breadcrumbs continued. Late-night messages between Mommy Dearest and Mr. Parker, which Emily somehow glimpsed over Daniel's shoulder, messages like, "Can't wait to see you tonight," or "I will be everything you want." These words cut deeper than any physical blow. Somewhere deep inside, Emily wanted to believe they were harmless flirtation, nothing more. Then came the final blow, a crisp envelope from the courthouse. "I, Daniel Parker, hereby petition for dissolution of marriage from Emily Thompson." There was his signature, cold and unwavering. The world as Emily knew it shattered. Daniel and Jessica had been seeing each other for 3 months behind her back. Emily's heart shattered in that moment. She learned that Daniel and Jessica met twice a week, sometimes at Jessica's loft in Capitol Hill, sometimes at upscale hotels in downtown Seattle. Each rendezvous was a deliberate blow to Emily's chest. Humiliation, rage, despair, they all churned together, overwhelming her ability to think clearly. How could the person I trusted most and my own sister betray me so deeply? That question would haunt Emily every waking moment, driving her down a path she never imagined traveling. In the weeks after receiving the divorce papers, Emily felt like a ghost wandering through her own life. She trudged to the office each morning, tapped absent-mindedly at her computer screen, unable to focus. Every work email felt pointless. All she could think about was Daniel and Jessica in bed together, laughing as if they'd won some twisted prize. In those dark hours, the question echoed in her mind. Why? Why did my sister, the one person I believed had my back, betray me? And why did Daniel, the love of my life, choose her over me? Loneliness enveloped her when she returned home to her small apartment. The TV's static glow couldn't drown out the memory of Jessica's mocking grin as Emily signed those papers. Even her mother's sympathetic calls, "Emily, sweetheart, it'll get better," felt hollow. In her bathroom mirror, Emily saw her reflection. Hollow-eyed, cheeks hollow, a shell of the confident woman she once was. One afternoon, as the rain pounded Seattle's streets, Emily's phone buzzed from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was deep, measured. "Emily Thompson? This is Brian, private investigator. You agreed to hire me. I found something." Emily's pulse spiked. This was what she'd paid for. Concrete proof. She met Brian in a dingy cafe near the waterfront, and he handed her a small black USB stick. On its label, "Top Secret, Jessica and Daniel." Back at her apartment, Emily's trembling fingers inserted the USB into her laptop. As files popped up, innocent seeming at first, she saw photos, Jessica and Daniel embracing in a riverside bar, close enough to look like lovers. Next, a series of messages. "I miss you already. Can't wait until tonight. You're everything I ever wanted." Her stomach dropped to the floor. Then there were videos. Jessica sneaking into Daniel's bedroom, kisses in dim candlelight, whispered confessions of love, and at the end, a clip of Jessica saying, "Thank you for making me forget my sister's stupid dreams." Emily's chest tightened. She felt her world crumple. These solid proofs left no room for doubt. The betrayal was brutal and unambiguous. Daniel had lied every time he said, "Work's rough." Jessica had schemed meticulously, manipulating her way from New York to Seattle, seducing her sister's husband. When Emily confronted them, each denied nothing. In a heated confrontation at Jessica's house one evening, Emily burst into the living room while Daniel held a glass of red wine. She screamed, "Why? How could you do this to me? How could you betray your own sister?" Jessica merely shrugged, eyes cold. "Get over it, Em. Daniel and I are great together. You're just too boring." Daniel barely met Emily's gaze. He looked away. The sight of them together, calm and unashamed, triggered a tidal wave of anguish. Emily sank to the floor, tears streaming, as they ignored her pain. Jessica shut the door in her face, leaving her sister in a puddle of humiliation on the hardwood floor. The finality of that moment was a dagger in Emily's heart. Her past with these two, family vacations, shared laughter, Daniel's protective embrace, evaporated in an instant. But justice in this world is rarely kind to the wronged. Emily's lawyer, Patricia Reynolds, once told her, "We can pursue this through court, but it will take months, maybe years, and will likely cost you a fortune. And if Jessica and Daniel have hidden assets or have doctored evidence, we could end up losing." Emily recognized that legal battles weren't enough to reclaim her shattered dignity. She felt trapped. Fight a lengthy lawsuit and watch them keep living luxuriously, or take matters into her own hands. In the dark, rain-drenched nights, Emily found she had no other choice. Breaking down entirely, Emily thought back to her childhood with Jessica, running amid autumn leaves at Green Lake Park, sharing a BLT sandwich from their grandmother's deli. Now, those sweet memories only deepened her grief. How fragile sisterhood could be. How quickly love could turn to poisonous envy. And in the deepest pit of despair, Emily decided she would not wait for the courts to hand her justice. She would force fate's hand herself. By the time Emily made up her mind, the woman she once was had vanished. She no longer recognized the tears and trembling she once displayed. The pain and rage had frozen her heart, hardening it to steel. She began studying every detail of Jessica's and Daniel's lives. Using her communications expertise, she monitored their public social media profiles, tracked Jessica's daily Pilates classes in Bellevue, frequented the Capitol Hill Cafe where Jessica met Daniel, even noted the occasional luxury dinners they shared at high-end restaurants downtown. Nothing escaped her scrutiny. Emily hired Brian's team of 4 private investigators to tail Jessica and Daniel relentlessly. Every meeting, every whispered conversation behind closed doors, every furtive glance was documented. Emily spent late nights at her rented 1-bedroom apartment. Walls lined with spreadsheets, maps of Jessica's usual routes, surveillance photos and video stills pinned to corkboards. She scoured financial records, found that Jessica and Daniel had quietly opened a joint account with $50,000 seeded in from Daniel's paychecks. This, she realized, was just the start of their plan to marry and consolidate assets. Wealth, Emily had once considered her future. For weeks, Emily studied Seattle's legal codes and criminal psychology. How meticulously does one have to plan to commit the perfect murder? She asked herself. Her computer's hard drive held encrypted files on forensic evidence and evading law enforcement. She created fake bank accounts to funnel money anonymously into Brian's investigations. She unearthed a long-buried scandal. Jessica, back in college, had been accused of plagiarizing a class project and forcing her friend to drop out. Such a revelation could destroy Jessica's reputation if exposed at the right moment. But Emily's first priority was camouflage. She continued posting seemingly normal photos on social media, coffee dates with friends, work events, and the occasional selfie that proclaimed, "Still smiling through it all." Meanwhile, she carefully cultivated a rumor that she was depressed but recovering, hoping Jessica would remain oblivious to the true extent of her resolve. She even posted pictures of herself laughing alongside Daniel in happier times, as if she was desperately clinging to her marriage. In reality, she was drawing an illusion of vulnerability, making herself the underdog. The pivotal moment came when Jessica was invited as the main sponsor to a charity gala at the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum, a marquee event covered by Seattle's biggest news outlets. Jessica was to deliver a keynote speech on her foundation for homeless youth. It was the perfect stage, hundreds of philanthropists, local celebrities, and media cameras. Emily saw her chance. She crafted an elaborate plan to infiltrate the gala disguised as a special guest investor, positioning herself close enough to confront Jessica publicly. But she needed more, evidence that would shatter Jessica completely. So Emily arranged to have a professional camera crew discreetly placed near the VIP entrance. From there, every moment, from Jessica's arrival in a stunning evening gown to her interaction with Daniel, would be recorded. Emily purchased a tailor-made designer dress and secured a VIP invitation, forging credentials that labeled her as Emily Thompson, honored guest. She even chartered a black limousine under the name Elite Events Co., arriving just minutes before Jessica, ensuring the security team would let her in without question. But that was only the setup. In the gala's inner courtyard, Emily brought along a sleek wooden box. Inside, neatly nestled, was an encrypted USB stick containing damning footage, Jessica admitting on tape that she and Daniel had conspired to defraud Emily of her marital assets, along with photos of them conspiring to hide money in offshore accounts. She also hired a swing state lawyer, Leonard Morales, a sharp financial attorney from MIT, who sensed the potential for blackmail when he first reviewed the documents. Leonard agreed to hold the video as a safety net, instructing Emily that if she wanted to leverage it legally, he could guide her. But Emily had other plans. On the night before the gala, Emily visited Jessica's Bellevue mansion under the guise of filming a testimonial for the charity. She carried her mini camera kit, professional equipment, she told Jessica, intending to catch intimate footage of her sister's behavior in an uncontrolled environment. Jessica, convinced her sister still adored her, welcomed Emily warmly. The door swung open, and Jessica's face lit up. "Em, you're here. I was hoping you'd support me tonight." Emily smiled placidly, but inside she seethed. As Jessica prattled on about speeches and donations, Emily's mind raced. Tonight would be the first step toward unraveling Jessica's carefully constructed life. When Jessica slipped outside to admire the mansion's landscaped garden, Emily seized her moment. She handed over the wooden box with a subtle, mocking tone. "Here, sis, a gift from me. I thought you might appreciate a little souvenir." Jessica's eyebrow arched in confusion, but she opened the box before Emily could stop her. Her eyes flicked to the USB, then to the hand-scrawled note. "I guess you forgot the cost of your betrayal." Jessica's confusion shifted instantly to anger. She slammed the lid shut, but Emily was already walking away, leaving Jessica shaking with fury. That moment cemented Jessica's sense of being trapped. She realized that Emily had the power to expose her to the world. All that remained was the final piece, forcing Jessica's hand at the gala. Emily's heart pounded as she slipped into her black evening gown at a rented downtown loft. She had practiced her posture, her glances, her calmness, ensuring no flicker of nervousness would give her away. Tonight she would shatter Jessica's world entirely, no turning back. And she would do it under the bright lights of Seattle's most prestigious social event, where witnesses would be plenty, evidence irrefutable, and the fall from grace spectacular. The Chihuly Garden and Glass Gala was at its peak when Jessica ascended the stage. Jewel-toned lights danced off her sequined black dress as she delivered a rousing speech about philanthropy and giving hope to homeless children. Reporters scribbled notes furiously, and paparazzi snapped photos as if capturing a rising star in charity work. Daniel sat prominently in the VIP section, his eyes shining with pride for the woman he had deceived. To onlookers, they were the golden couple, perfectly poised, perfectly generous. But behind the scenes, Jessica's set of lies teetered on the brink of collapse. Meanwhile, Emily navigated through well-dressed attendees, her heart hammering in her chest. She had deliberately placed a small camera in her clutch to record every word Jessica spoke. Her wooden box lay on a discreet pedestal behind the stage, within Jessica's line of sight as she descended. As Jessica concluded her speech to thunderous applause, the audience began to disperse. A gentle breeze carried them toward the museum's inner courtyard, where servers passed trays of champagne. That was Emily's cue. She retrieved the wooden box and casually placed it on a small table beneath a lattice of fairy lights. Her hand brushed the satin lining as she whispered, "Jessica, a little remembrance from your dearest sister." Jessica, spotting the box, paused mid-step. Her expression flickered from confusion to cautious intrigue. She exchanged glances with Daniel, momentarily unsettled. "Emily? What is this?" Jessica asked, a forced smile curving her lips. Emily's calm reply cut through the soft music. "Open it and you'll see." Jessica looked around. No immediate help in sight. Then, ignoring Daniel's murmured question, "Em, what are you doing?" She lifted the box's lid. The flash of the nearby camera caught the moment. Jessica's eyes widened in shock as she saw the USB. She lifted it, then read Emily's note. "I thought you'd appreciate a reminder of the debts you owe." Jessica's face paled as murmurs rippled through the surrounding guests. The camera feed had already captured her reaction, and within seconds, tabloids would have front-page headlines. By then, Emily's backup plan was unfolding. In the crowd, Leonard Morales, Daniel's old college friend and a respected attorney, approached, phone in hand. He showed Jessica and Daniel a series of text messages, evidence of them conspiring to fake financial transactions, offshore accounts, and a covert marriage license. Panic flickered across Jessica's face. "We have more," Leonard told the stunned couple, "including video of you two admitting everything." Jessica's poised composure shattered. She trembled as she confronted Emily. "You can't do this! I'm a respected philanthropist!" Emily's voice was ice. "Philanthropy doesn't excuse your betrayal. Your public image means nothing now." Daniel tried to step forward to calm the chaos, but Emily didn't flinch. In her hand was a small handgun she had concealed in her clutch. She leveled it at Jessica's chest. The courtyard fell silent, the fountain's burble paling compared to the crowd's held breath. Jessica staggered back, eyes wide, desperately scanning for escape. Daniel shouted, "Emily, don't!" But Emily's jaw tightened. "You and he played with my life. You ruined everything I had. Now it's my turn." She squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out, resonating amid gasps. Jessica stumbled, a crimson bloom spreading across her white top, and crumpled to the travertine floor. Daniel lunged forward, catching her limp form as he screamed her name in anguish. Emily stood motionless, her gaze fixed on the blood pooling around Jessica's head. She holstered the gun as chaos erupted. Security guards and Gala staff rushed toward the scene, their uniforms flashing like beacons against the night. Leonard calmly raised his phone, recording the entire event as a testimony. Daniel knelt beside Jessica's lifeless body, tears streaking down his face in uncontrollable convulsions. Within 30 seconds, police officers flooded the courtyard, drawn by the gunshot. They swiftly disarmed Emily and placed her in handcuffs. The cameraman captured every second Emily, standing tall, expression blank, flanked by officers. Reporters scribbled furiously, broadcasting live to Seattle's news networks. One reporter's voice trembled as she reported, "In an astonishing turn of events, what was supposed to be a glamorous charity gala ended in a bloody murder. The suspect is identified as Emily Thompson. The victim, philanthropist Jessica Parker. More details as we learn them." In her last thought before being led away, Emily looked at Daniel, his face etched with guilt, regret, and sorrow. "I didn't hate her. I hated you for twisting my trust," she whispered silently. As the police took her away, Jessica's body lay crumpled, the fairy lights casting eerie shadows on the white stone. The event that was meant to celebrate generosity had instead crowned karma in its most brutal form. Months later, Emily sat in her cell at Washington State Penitentiary, reflecting on everything that had transpired. The world outside had erupted in controversy over the Gala murder. Debates raged on talk shows and social media. Some called Emily a hero of justice, finally punishing a treacherous pair. Others condemned her as a cold-blooded killer who took justice into her own hands. Meanwhile, Daniel had retreated from public life, relocating to Portland under an alias, living with immeasurable guilt for seeing his wife die by the sister he betrayed. In her cell, Emily scribbled in a journal each night. She recorded her thoughts, her regrets, and her justifications. Her first entry read, "I lost my family, but I reclaimed the only thing I could, my dignity. I can never be whole again, but I exposed their lies." She sent the journal pages to her parents to apologize for the pain she caused, an apology as frail as glass, knowing she could never truly make amends. She also sent a copy to Patricia Reynolds, her former attorney, who now frequently lectured on women's rights and legal advocacy. Patricia often told her law students, "Sometimes vengeance blinds us." But Emily's case forced a legal overhaul in Washington. Courts now scrutinize asset transactions more rigorously in divorce proceedings. The story's aftermath also rippled through Seattle's legal community. The state tightened laws against fraudulent marriage contracts, making it harder for couples to hide assets or forge documents. No longer could a spouse slip away with the other's life savings unnoticed. Emily's drastic act served as a grim lesson that deception, even under the guise of love, carries dire consequences. Fans of the Karma Strikes channel debated endlessly. Did Emily have to kill Jessica? Could she have gone to the authorities instead? Some argued she should have pursued the courts, resisting the primal impulse to murder. Others believed that when the legal system fails, extreme measures might feel justified. "If you were in Emily's shoes, what would you do?" the video's host asked viewers at the end. Comments poured in. "I would fight it out legally. I'd understand if she lost control. Ultimately, no one should die over this, but betrayal runs deep." In her interview, conducted via video from the penitentiary, Emily's face looked hollow but calm. She gazed into the camera and spoke. "If I could go back, I'd find another way than murder. But when every legal door closed, I felt cornered. Perhaps that's the real moral. Never let betrayal fester unchecked. If I had known how dark my own heart could become, I might have sought help before picking up that gun." Outside prison walls, the memory of the Chihuly Gala lingered like a scar. Jessica's foundation lost its major donor funding, and her charitable reputation turned to ash overnight. Daniel, haunted by regret, volunteered at a homeless shelter under an assumed name, as if punishing himself for his betrayals. He later admitted that losing Jessica to an act of revenge felt worse than any legal penalty he might face. As for Emily, she was left with a lifetime sentence, perhaps the harshest punishment of all. Each morning, she woke to the same four walls, reflecting on the irreversible choices she made. She wrote in her journal one final time, "Karma isn't just about cold justice. It's about what justice does to those who enact it. I have paid a steep price." The video ends on a somber note, reminding viewers, Betrayal cuts deeper when it comes from within, and sometimes the price of retribution is higher than vengeance itself. Then the host urged the audience, "If you believe in seeking justice through the right channels, share your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to Karma Strikes for more incredible tales where betrayal meets fate." And that's how karma struck, proving that no one escapes its reach.